In this lecture, we'll discuss about auto negotiation, for what purpose it was being designed. It was particularly for these purposes it was being designed. The first one is to allow incompatible devices to connect to one another. The example is mentioned as a device with a maximum capacity of 10 Mbps can communicate with a device with a 100 Mbps capacity, which can work at a lower rate. The second is to allow one device to have multiple capabilities. Third, to allow a station to check a hub's capabilities. Next, we'll discuss about physical layer. Okay, several changes need to be made at the physical layer to be able to handle a 100 Mbps data rate. The topology is fast Ethernet is designed to connect two or more stations. If there are only two stations, they can be connected point to point. Three or more stations need to be connected in a star topology with a hub or switch at the center. Okay, next we'll see about encoding. Manchester encoding needs a 200 M baud bandwidth for a data rate of 100 Mbps. That makes it unsuitable for a medium such as twisted pair cable. The fast Ethernet designers sought some alternative encoding/decoding scheme. It was found that one scheme would not perform equally well for all three implementations. Three different encoding schemes were chosen. Okay, and they have been shown in this figure. So you can see three different encoding schemes which have been chosen are shown here. You can see 100 base TX is one scheme, 100 base FX is one more scheme, 100 base T4 is another scheme. Okay, so all these three schemes have been discussed. Okay. Is it clear? Now we'll see about 100 base TX. So this diagram, the first one is going to represent the 100 base TX. Okay, so two pairs of twisted pair cable is used. You can see here, two pairs of twisted pair cable is used, either category 5 UTP or STP. So you can see either category 5 UTP or STP is there. The MLT, so you can see here MLT, there is MLT. The MLT3 scheme was selected for this implementation since it has good bandwidth performance. Okay, since MLT3 is not a self-synchronous line coding scheme, however 4B/5B block coding is used to provide bit synchronization by preventing the occurrence of a long sequence of zeros and ones. That creates a data rate of 125 Mbps, which is fed into MLT3 for encoding. Next we'll see about 100 base FX. We'll see about 100 base FX. Okay, 100 base FX. 100 base FX. You can see there are two pairs of fibers. This one, two pairs of fibers. Okay, two fibers. Two pairs of fiber optic cables are used. Optical fiber can easily handle high bandwidth requirements by using simple encoding schemes. Designers of 100 base FX selected the NRZ-I encoding scheme for this implementation. NRZ-I has a bit synchronization problem for long sequences of zeros or ones based on the encoding. Designers used 4B slash 5B designers used 4B slash 5B block encoding to overcome this problem. Described for 100 base TX. Block encoding increases the bit rate from 100 to 125 Mbps that can easily be handled by fiber optic cable. Okay, next we'll see about 100 base. Just a minute, I'll repeat. Okay, is it clear? So I was telling you about designers used 4B 5B block encoding as it was described for 100 base TX to overcome the problem. The block encoding increases the bit rate from 100 to 125 Mbps that can easily be handled by fiber optic cable. Then so whatever is this 100 base TX, a data rate of 100 Mbps can be provided by a 100 base TX network that requires the use of category 5 UTP or STP cable, not cost efficient for buildings that have already been wired for wise grade twisted pair, that is category 3. Next we'll see about 100 base T4. 100 base T4. 100 base T4 is shown here. You can see 100 base T4. Base T4 has been shown here. You can see this diagram. 100 base T4. Okay. In 100 base T4, it was designed to use category 3 or higher UTP. 4 pairs of UTP for transmitting 100 Mbps is used for implementation. So you can see 4 pairs of UTP for transmitting 100 Mbps is used for implementation. In 100 base T4, it is more complicated. The encoding and decoding is very much complicated. So each twisted pair cannot easily handle more than 25 M baud because this implementation uses category 3 UTP. So it is using, you can see category 3 LTP. That is why it cannot easily handle more than 25 M baud. Okay, one pair switches between sending and receiving is used in the design. Okay, 3 pairs of UTP category 3 however can handle only 75 M baud, 25 M baud each. So total 25 into 3, 75 M baud each. An encoding scheme that converts 100 Mbps to a 75 M baud signal. So there is a encoding scheme that converts 100 Mbps to a 75 M baud signal. Is it clear? Baud signal. 8B/60 satisfies this requirement. So you can see here 8B/60. Here also 8B/60. Okay. It satisfies this requirement. 8 data elements are encoded as 6 signal elements. So 8 data elements are encoded as 6 signal elements in 8B/60, meaning that 100 Mbps uses only 6/TX 100 Mbps or 75 M baud. Now we'll go to the summary. Fast Ethernet implementation at the physical layer can be categorized as either 2-wire or 4-wire. Fast Ethernet implementation at the physical wire can be categorized as either 2-wire or 4-wire. 2-wire implementation can be either shielded, that is twisted pair STP called 100 base TX, or fiber optic cable called 100 base FX. 4-wire implementation is designed only for unshielded twisted pair UTP called as 100 base T4. Summary of the fast Ethernet implementation is as shown in table. So we'll see the table now. we'll see the table now. Okay, table. So this is a table of summary of fast Ethernet implement. So you can see implementation, all these three: medium UTP or STP, fiber UTP in this particular scheme, medium length 100 meter, 185, 100 meter for these three implementation. The wires are 2 to 4 for these three implementation. Encoding is also shown. So this table shows a summary of fast Ethernet implementation. Next we'll see about gigabit Ethernet. Gigabit Ethernet. Okay, gigabit Ethernet. Gigabit Ethernet. So design of the gigabit design. So now I'll discuss about gigabit Ethernet. Okay, so design of the gigabit Ethernet protocol. The goals of the gigabit Ethernet were 1000 Mbps resulted because of the need for an even higher data rate. IEEE committee calls it the standard 802.3Z. Goals of the gigabit Ethernet were to upgrade the data rate to 1 Gbps but keep the address length, frame format and the maximum and minimum frame length the same. Goals of the gigabit Ethernet design can be summarized as follows. 1. Upgrade the data rate to 1 Gbps. 2. Make it compatible with standard or fast Ethernet. Third, use the same 48-bit address. Fourth, use the same frame format. 5. Keep the same minimum and maximum frame length. Sixth, support auto negotiation as defined in fast Ethernet. Okay, these were the goals of the gigabit Ethernet design. Now we will see about max sublayer. In the evolution of Ethernet was to keep the max sublayer untouched was a main consideration. To achieve a data rate of 1 Gbps, however, this was no longer possible. Half duplex and full duplex are the two main distinctive approaches that have been used for media access for gigabit Ethernet. Full duplex approach is the implementation that is followed by almost all implementations. Now we'll see about full duplex mode. There is a central switch connected to all computers or other switches in full duplex mode. For each input port in this mode, each switch has buffers in which data are stored until they are transmitted. There is no collision as the switch uses the destination address of the frame and sends a frame out of the port connected to that particular destination. There is no collision. CSMA/CD is not used is the meaning of this. Lack of collision implies that the maximum length of the cable is determined by the signal attenuation in the cable, not by collision detection process. Next we'll see about half duplex mode. Gigabit Ethernet can also be used in half duplex mode. Although it is rare, a switch can be replaced by a hub that acts as a common cable in which a collision might occur. CSMA/CD approach is used by half duplex approach. The maximum length of the network in this approach is totally dependent on the minimum frame size. Traditional carrier extension and frame bursting are the three methods that have been defined. Next we'll see about traditional. The minimum length of the frame as in traditional Ethernet 512 bits in traditional approach is 512 bits, because the length of a bit is 1 by 100 shorter in gigabit Ethernet than in 10 Mbps Ethernet. The slot time for gigabit Ethernet is 512 bits into 1 by 1000 microseconds, which will come equal to 0.512 microseconds. Reduced slot time means that collision is detected 100 times earlier. Maximum length of the network is 25 meter. This length may be suitable if all stations are in one room, but may not even be long enough to connect the computers in one single office. Next, we'll see about carrier extension. The minimum frame length is increased to allow for a longer network. The carrier extension approach defines the minimum length of a frame, which is 8 times longer. Whatever is this method forces a station to add extension bits, that is padding, to any frame that is less than 4096 bits. Maximum length of the network can be increased 8 times to a length of 200 meter, allowing a length of 100 meter from the hub to the station. Next, we'll see about frame bursting. Whatever is a carrier extension, it is very inefficient if we have a series of short frames to send. Each frame carries redundant data. Frame bursting was proposed to improve efficiency. Multiple frames are sent instead of adding an extension to each frame. To make these multiple frames look like one frame, padding is added between the frames so that the channel is not idle. In other words, the method deceives other stations into thinking that a very large frame has been transmitted in other words, which is in other words. So in the next lecture, I'll be discussing about I'll be discussing about the physical layer in the next lecture. I'll stop here.